Indeed, humans have encountered many mythical creatures. But are these mythical creatures only a part of stories? Or did they actually exist ever in this world? We've all heard tales of dragons, giants, and monsters. But what if I told you some of them weren't just myths? Amazingly, these legendary creatures have actually walked, swam, or flown across our world. Stay with me till the end, because this video might just change what you believe about myths and reality. Before diving in, subscribe our channel and hit bell icon. Number 7. Giant serpents. Friends, giant serpents or snakes are a common part of many mythologies. You'll see a giant serpent like Ramon in Roman mythology. While in Egyptian mythology, we see a giant serpent called Apophis. In Hindu mythology and religion as well, we see a giant snake named Vasuki. In reality, these snakes did exist. I'm especially talking about Titanoboa and Vasuki indicus, because Titanoboa used to grow up to 42 feet long. That's roughly the size of a city bus. Whereas Vasuki indicus could grow up to 50 feet long, roughly the length of 3 limousines. That's why both of these giant snakes were apex predators of their time, who could easily suffocate and swallow any animal. Titanoboa used to be found in what is now modern-day South America, while Vasuki indicus was discovered in the Gujarat state of India, which means it used to live in the prehistoric Indian subcontinent. That's also why it was named after the Vasuki snake of Hinduism. Number 6. Yeti and Bigfoot friends. You must have heard of an ape-like creature that walks on 2 legs. Well, in Himalayan culture, it's known as the Yeti, which is believed to live near the cold, high mountains. In fact, in 1951, a footprint of it was captured near Mount Everest, but later it was found to be the footprint of a bear. Still, a version of this same creature is also very famous among Native Americans in North America, where it's known as Bigfoot. And this creature, too, was recorded once in 1967. However, many sources claim that the footage is not genuine. But still, about 3.7 million years ago, in the scorching heat of Africa, there used to be creatures known as Australopithecus, who looked quite similar to the Yeti or Bigfoot. These animals were actually an early form of humans, because we humans evolved from a species of Australopithecus. Well, the brain size of Australopithecus was 3 times smaller than that of modern humans, which is why they didn't have the ability to speak or to create tools. Number 5. Unicorn friends. The very first evidence of unicorn-like creatures comes not from anywhere else, but from the seals of the famous Indus Valley civilization in India and Pakistan. Well, many people believe unicorns are just mythical creatures, but an animal similar to them did once exist in this world. About 40,000 years ago, during the extreme cold of the Pleistocene epoch, there used to be a giant horned rhino called the Elasmotherium. And for your information, horses are actually the closest relatives of rhinoceroses. If we compare the size of the horn of an Elasmotherium, it would be as big as a human being, which is why it holds the record for being the world's largest horned animal. However, due to climate change and the arrival of modern humans, they eventually went extinct from the planet. Number 4. Cthulhu friends. Cthulhu is undoubtedly a modern mythical creature, first introduced in 1928 in the fictional short story The Call of Cthulhu. In that story, Cthulhu is described as a terrifying, octopus-like giant monster which prefers to live in the depths of the ocean. Well, if you go back to the Cretaceous period, the time of the dinosaurs, you'll actually find some horrifying giant cephalopods that look quite similar to Cthulhu. You would actually find terrifying giant cephalopods that look just like Cthulhu. These giant cephalopods used to grow up to 40 feet long, and if you compare that size, it's equal to about 2 giraffes. That's why Tusoteuthis, giant prehistoric squids, used to easily prey even on mosasaurs. Well, it is believed that they went extinct due to the asteroid impact that occurred 66 million years ago. Number 3. Dragons. You must have definitely seen dragons in some movie or series. Usually, they are depicted with wings in Eastern cultures and wingless in Western cultures. Well, it is believed that the concept of dragons actually came from dinosaurs because even in ancient times, people used to find dinosaur fossils. And after seeing those fossils, people imagined mythical creatures like dragons. But 66 million years ago, there was no need to imagine dragons. Because during that time, a creature named Quetzalcoatlus evolved on Earth, which was the largest flying creature ever and looked no less than a dragon. For comparison, even the size of its beak was equal to 2 adult humans. So it could easily devour dead dinosaurs and even their babies. They belong to the group of flying reptiles known as pterosaurs. Number 2, dwarfs. Well, we've all seen dwarfs in cartoons and movies since childhood. But in reality, dwarfs aren't a new thing. Their mention is found in Norse mythology dating back 1,300 years. However, friends, around 50,000 years ago, dwarfs were not just part of stories. They actually roamed this world. Here, I'm talking about the smallest known human species, Homo floresiensis. You can clearly see the size comparison between them and modern humans. That's why it's possible they had to face serious challenges from animals like Komodo dragons in their time. It is believed that about 100,000 years ago, when the famous Homo erectus arrived on the island of Flores in Indonesia due to a phenomenon called island dwarfism, they evolved into Homo floresiensis. Number 1, Loch Ness Monster. In Scotland's Loch Ness Lake, people have claimed to see a monster for centuries. People say that this monster has a long neck and looks like a dinosaur. Well, despite a lot of research, no living monster like that has ever been discovered. Experts believe it's just a mythical creature. But here's the strange part. 66 million years ago, not only did a creature like that exist, but it also actually roamed the oceans. We know it as a plesiosaurus. It is believed that it used to be as big as 3 SUV cars, and its size matched that of the mythical Loch Ness Monster. Plesiosaurus ruled the oceans for 150 million years until they were completely wiped out during the Cretaceous extinction event. Now, the question arises, if Plesiosaurus went extinct millions of years ago, how are people still claiming to see them in Loch Ness for the last 1,500 years? We believe that maybe someone found a fossil of Plesiosaurus, and from that, the entire Loch Ness Monster legend might have originated. Stay tuned for the next part. Thanks for watching!